Ash from Super Videos back for another video for The Walking Dead. This is going to be a different type of video than what I usually do on the channel, but we're going to give it a shot. In this video, we're going to be ranking every character that we've seen on The Walking Dead. There's a lot of them, so we're going to go through it. I'm actually using this tool or application online called Tier Maker to make this. This video was actually requested by Giuseppe De Rosa, one of the subscribers on the channel, so shout out to Giuseppe for requesting this and sending me the link. With that said, there's three things I want to mention before we jump into this. The first, as always, if you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing to join our community. If you enjoy the content, share and smash the like button and press the bell on the bottom right corner to be notified about uploads. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that I'm gonna have to move closer to the screen a little bit to kind of see the characters, because character images are a little small, and obviously I'm gonna put the screen that I'm looking at on the video so you guys can also follow along. And last but not least, because there's so many characters, I don't have time to explain my choice for each of the characters, so I'm just gonna kind of go through it. I might talk a little bit about some of the more important characters, but not all of them. And also, I don't know what they mean by ranking these characters. How I'm gonna rank them is in terms of my favorite characters, and not in terms of the most badass and like strong survivors, because that list is obviously gonna look different. So I'm gonna go into this ranking them based on my favorites, from most favorite to least favorite, based on the scale that we have. But that's enough of me talking. Let's just jump right into this. Alright, so this is the application that I'm looking at. So we can see the rank is S, which I'm assuming is superb, and then A, B, C, D, E, and F. And this is the list of all of the characters. So there's a lot of them. They do have some of the more smaller characters in there as well. And, you know, the smaller characters, obviously, I might not remember their names. Even some bigger characters, I might like forget their names. So let's jump right into it. First up is Aaron. Aaron is an interesting one. If we're looking at Aaron right now, like the one with the mechanical arm, that Aaron is obviously gotta go into the A category. If we're looking at Aaron when we first saw him, he would be closer to like a C or a D. But the Aaron we have now, awesome character, I would put him at an A. Next up, Abraham. I'm going with an S. Abraham was a great character, a very strong survivor, and I just think that he died way too early. I'm assuming this is the Hilltop Teenager that we saw back in, was it season 9? I would put them at an F. And then we have this guy. I think this guy is the one that was the reason Noah died, or something along those lines, right? He was from Alexandria. I would put him at an E. Next is Alden. Alden is a pretty cool character, strong survivor, but I would probably have to put him at a D. Next up is this guy. I don't even know who he is, but I'm just gonna put him at an E. Alpha. This is an interesting one because I think Alpha is arguably the best Walking Dead villain on the TV universe. Negan is up there as well. I would say Negan beats Alpha just barely. That's why I'm gonna put Alpha at an A, and obviously when we get to Negan, he'll go to S. Next up we have Amber, one of Negan's wives. I would put her at an F probably. Next up, I think this is Amy, Andrea's sister, if I remember correctly. I would put her at an E. And then Andrea herself, probably same. Andrea from the comics, all the way up. But Andrea from the show, not really. We have one of the prisoners at the prison, obviously. But I would put him at a E as well. Next we have this guy from Hilltop, I think. I would put him at a D. Next is Jadis or Anne. She is an interesting one because there's an Anne and there's a Jadis. So there's two different types of characters. But I'm just gonna treat this as being the Anne we know today. And I would honestly put her at a C only because she saved Rick. That's the only reason. Otherwise, she would be at a D. Next up, This girl, I don't know who she is. Probably an F. Next up is Arat, one of the saviors. I would say D, because she was a good third villain, you could say. Especially during the season 9 arc at the beginning, where we had the story with Oceanside and the saviors. Next up, we have this guy. He's also one of the people we saw at the prison, one of the prisoners. I would probably put him in the same place. I think his name is Axel. Next up, we have Beatrice, who just died back in season 10, episode 16. She'll probably go in E as well. Next, we have Benjamin. If I'm gonna be fair, I have to put him at an F. Beta is a tough one because he's definitely going at an A. It's because he's just awesome as a villain. Next, we have Beth. Beth is not my favorite character, but I don't mind her, so I would put her at a, she's probably an E. Next up, we have another one of the prisoners. He would probably go at an E as well. Next, we have Bob. I didn't really like Bob that much, but I really loved his final scene with the tainted meat. So because of that, I'm putting him at a D. Next up, we have this knucklehead who let Negan out. I'm gonna put him at an E. The only reason for that is because he let Negan out and we got to see the new Negan. So because of that, he's going at E. Next up, we have this guy from the Heapsters side. He would probably be an E as well. There's probably gonna be lots of E's. Then we have this guy, not sure who he is. I'll put him at an F. Next up, we have this guy. I think he's one of the governor's henchmen, but I'm not too sure. But I would put him at an F as well. Next up is Carl. You know I'm gonna put Carl somewhere here. I don't want to put him at an S because I don't think he's an S, but A or a B, and I think because he's dead, I would put him at a B, but if he survived and got more of his comic storyline, I would probably bring him closer to an A or even an S. But for now, probably a B. Next up is Carol. It's not even a question. Carol is S. Next up, we have this guy. I would probably put him at an E as well. Next up, we have Connie. I would probably put Connie at probably at a C. I don't mind her, but she's not my favorite. Cindy, I would probably put Cindy at a D, or Sydney. I don't know which one it is. The actress's name is like Cindy or Sydney, and the character's name is the other one. So I always get those mixed up, but she goes here. Next up is Dale. I mean, I miss Dale, but not my favorite. I would probably put him at an E. Next up is this guy from Kingdom, also an E. Next up is Daryl Dixon. You know he's going at an A. I'm saving like really special people for S, like my favorites of the favorites. So Daryl is probably gonna go to A, but depending on how many people I have in S, I might move him up. We'll see. Then we have this guy, the savior, the asshole I call him. He's probably going at an F. And then we have this guy, not sure who he is, so F. Next up we have the cop from Memorial Hospital, back from season 5. She's probably an F as well, not my favorite. Then Deanna, I would put Deanna at an E. Actually, I'm gonna move Deanna to D instead of E because Deanna is the reason why Alexandria exists. So because of that, she moves up. Next up is the doctor. I don't remember her name, but she's probably an E. Next up is this girl from Kingdom, probably an E. Next up is DJ, the savior that died by the hands of Alpha. He's probably going to D as well. The reason why is because he fought really hard during his final moments and he really redeemed himself, I would say. So he's definitely up there. Then we have Dog. I would put Dog at an E. I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for this, but it's just a dog. Then we have Dwayne, Morgan's son, probably an F. Dwight is an interesting one. I would say Dwight is C. Then we have Eastman. probably an F. Then we have this guy, Earl Sutton. I would put him at an E. I don't know who this is, F. Then we have Eduardo, I think, from Hilltop. He disappeared, so probably an F. Then we have Dr. Edwin Jenner, probably, I would say an E. Then we have Enid. Again, for the same reason as I put DJ there, or similar reason, I will put Enid in D. We have this guy, Aaron's boyfriend, probably an E. Eugene is a good survivor. I would put him at a C. Ezekiel, probably a C. This guy, Fat Joe, one of the saviors, or Fat Joey, is that his name? Fat Joe is the rapper, Fat Joey. I would put him at an F. I don't know who he is, but I think he's from the gang, the Vatos, if I remember right. I could be wrong, but probably an F still. Father Gabriel, probably a B. This guy, I don't know who he is. I think he's the one that attacked Lydia, if I remember right, back in season 10, was it? I would put him at an F. Next is Gamma, or Mary. That's her real name. I would put her at an E. Then we have Gareth. I would put Gareth at an E probably as well. He was a pretty cool villain. Then we have this savior. Didn't like him. F. Then we have this savior. I liked him a little bit at the beginning, but I didn't like where they went with his story. So I would probably put him at an F as well. Then we have Georgie. She's obviously going to be relevant, or I'm hoping she's going to be relevant later on in the story. She was only in like one episode, but because she might become a more relevant character, I'm putting her at an E. Then we have Glenn. You know Glenn's going up there with Abraham. No question about it. Then we have Grace, probably an F. Then we have Gregory. You know he's an F. Then we have this guy. I think he's the leader of the Vatos. I did kind of like his role, so I would put an E. Then we have the doctor, or one of the doctors from Hilltop, probably an F. Then we have Heath. I would put Heath at an E. Then we have Henry. Henry's a difficult one. I didn't really like him, but I liked him sometimes, so I'll put him at an E. Next up is Herschel. Herschel has to be up here. Probably an A or a B, but just to be consistent, I'm probably going to put him at an A. And now that I look at it, I'm probably going to bring Daryl up here at an S. Then we have this girl. I think she's the person that came with Georgie, F. Then we have this girl from season 1 who died with Dr. Jenner. She was the one that stayed behind with Dr. Jenner at the CDC and killed herself. Probably an F. Next up, we have this douchebag, the savior, probably an F. Then we have this other douchebag of a savior, probably an F. Then we have Jerry. Jerry's probably going to be coming up to an A. Jesse, probably a D. Jesus, I would say I didn't like what they did with Jesus in the show. In the comics, he would be really high up, but in the TV version, I would probably put him at a D as well. I don't know who this is, so an F. This guy, I remember him. He's the one that died by the tree in season 1, was it? Or season 2? I would put him at an F probably. Don't know who this is. Then we have Joe. I really like Joe. He was a very interesting villain. So I would probably put him at a D. Princess, probably a D as well. Judith is probably going to be a B. We have this guy. We didn't see him that much. He's one of the saviors from season 9 that got his ass whooped by Daryl. I would put him at an F. This guy, also one of the Hilltop members, probably an F. Then we have Kelly. Kelly probably goes to be a D. Then we have this guy who died pretty early on in season 10, I think. I would say an F. Then we have Laura. I would say probably a D. Then we have this person, not sure who they are, so an F. Then we have Lizzie or Mika, one of them. I would put her at an E because they were very twisted and dark characters that I enjoyed seeing. I like them more in the TV version than the comic version. Lori has to be an E. Then we have Luke. Luke is probably a D as well. Lydia is a D as well. Maggie has to be up there. She's not an A. I just put her there because I couldn't get to the S. She's an S. Then we have Magna. Magna's probably a D as well. Then we have this guy. I think he's Marco. He's from Hilltop. Probably an F. This guy from, if I remember right, back in season 5, he was from Terminus. He was a pretty dark and interesting character, so I would say an E. I really loved his dialogue with, who was it? Morgan? I think, if I remember right. Merle has to be up here at a C. Michonne, you know Michonne is going at number 1. Then we have this other person that came with Georgie, probably an F. Not sure who this is, an F. Mika, probably right up here with Lizzie. Not sure which one's which, but you get the point. Not sure who this is. This is the scientist or the doctor. I don't know exactly who he was, but he was with the governor. I would say an E. He was a pretty interesting character. Not sure who this is. Morales, he's going at probably S. I'm just kidding. He's going at an F. Then we have Morgan. Morgan is up there. Because he left at such a crucial time, I would say, in the story on the original show, I would probably leave him at an A. Then we have Jerry's girl, probably an E. Then we have Sydney's grandmother, I think, from Oceanside, probably an E. Negan, you know where Negan is going. Negan is gonna be up here at S. Then we have this guy, I don't remember his name, but he's the guy that shot himself, and he was part of the story with the dumpster, Glenn, and the fake out and all of that. Probably an F. Then we have Noah, probably an E. Not sure who this is. Olivia, probably an E, I would say. I did enjoy her scenes with Negan. This is one of the prisoners again, so I would put them in the same place as I put the other prisoners, which is, let me see if I can find them. He's probably an F, but I don't know where the others are. I put them in E. Let me think. Yeah, I would put him at E as well. Alright, Otis, I think, from the farm storyline, probably an F. Then this guy, the wolf, one of the wolves, I would put him at an E. Then we have this guy from the Highwayman group, probably an E. Not sure who this is. I think this is the guy that died, or the teenager that died from the flu back at the prison. F. We have this girl who was one of the saviors at the outpost that we saw back in season 6. Probably an E. I did enjoy her scene, so she was an interesting one. We have this guy. This guy is the guy that Rick killed from Alexandria. This is Jesse's guy, but he's going at an F. Not sure who this is. Probably an F. We have Rachel from Oceanside. Probably an E, I would say. Then we have this guy, not sure who he is. We have Deanna's husband, probably an E. Not sure who this is. This is Richard from Kingdom. I didn't like him whatsoever. F. We have Rick Grimes. You know where he's going. I don't even need to tell you. We have RJ. RJ's probably gonna go where Judith and Carl are. Actually, RJ probably goes a little lower, like a lower level, just because he's not in a lot of scenes. But later on, he's definitely going to become a very important character, or a badass character, if the story continues the way we think later on. We have this teenager from Hilltop, an F. This guy, F. We have Rosita. I would put Rosita at a C probably. Yeah, probably a C. Then we have Sam, I think. I think that's Ron, and this is Ron's brother, Sam. So I would probably put him in the same category. We have this guy, not sure who he is, but he was in the lineup in season 5 episode 1. At Terminus, I would probably put him at an F. Sasha, probably, I would say Sasha's probably a C as well, much like Rosita. We have Scott. Scott's probably an E. We have Shane. You know where Shane is going. I don't need to tell you. I'm just getting him up there. Now, in terms of A or B, probably an A. Very close to being at S, but probably an A. Then we have Sherry. Sherry is probably a C. Actually, no, she's a D, I would say. She wasn't in the story much. Then we have Shiva. Shiva's probably going to be next to Dog, even though she was badass. She wasn't in too many scenes, and probably in the grand scheme of things, she would probably be at an E. Then we have Siddiq. I would say Siddiq is probably a D as well. We have Simon. I enjoyed Simon's scenes and his storyline, so I would put him probably at a B. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, I don't have a lot of people in B, and looking at who I have in C, I'm probably gonna move up Rosita and Sasha, both to a B. Then we have Sophia, probably an E. We have Spencer, probably an E. Not sure who this is. We have T-Dog. T-Dog is probably gonna be probably an E, to be fair. We have the goat that was with Eastman. I don't know what the name was, but just for the heck of it, I'll put them at an E as well, next to the other animals. Then we have this girl from the Heapster side, probably an F. Then we have this girl from Hilltop. I'm drawing a blank on their name, but they would probably be a D as well, or an E as well. Then we have one of Negan's wives, or another one of Negan's wives. I would probably put them at an F. We have Tara. I wasn't a fan of Tara originally, but she grew on me, so I would probably put Tara at a C as well. We have the governor. The governor is probably going, I'm thinking C. That would be a good place for him. Then we have this girl. I think she was Sherry's sister, if I remember right, but an F. We have this guy, Tobin, I think. Is that what his name was? Probably an E. Another one of the prisoners, probably an F. We have Tyrese, pretty badass character. I would probably put Tyrese in D because he was such a badass character, even in the show. Comic Tyrese was way better, but even the show's version, he was pretty badass. Then we have this guy. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he's the one that showed up at the end, took Connie away. I would put him probably at an E, only because we don't know what's gonna happen with him. Then we have Yumiko. Yumiko is probably going to be at a D as well, next to Kelly. Actually, I would put her next to Connie. I think those two are my favorites from Connie's group, or Magnus group, whatever you want to call them. But I'll put them here together. And that's pretty much it. That is my list. So I'm gonna look again at the first three categories, S, A, and B. So at S, I have Abraham, Beta, Carol, Glenn, Daryl, Maggie, Michonne, Negan, and Rick. At A, I have Aaron, Alpha, Herschel, Jerry, Morgan, and Shane. At B, I have Carl, Father Gabriel, Judith, Simon, Rosita, and Sasha. Now, I don't know what the rules are. I don't know how many people you can have at S in the S category. So if I chose too many, it is what it is. Those are just who I think is up there. And I think this is a pretty solid list. If I were to make some final adjustments though, I would probably bring Beta down one, just because I feel like the way things kind of came about, like what I have here, he would probably fall one down. And I would say Abraham would probably fall one down as well, and I would move Shane one up. And that's pretty much it. that's my final adjustment. I feel pretty good with this list, and I don't know how many of you agree with me on these, but well, you're welcome to share your thoughts and opinions and picks down in the comment section below. That's enough of me talking. This video is going to be really long, and I don't want to make it longer than it is. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to share and smash the like button and press the bell to be notified when we upload. And also make sure to subscribe if you haven't to join our community. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.